Gigantescos decorados, maquetas, efectos artesanales. Navega para descubrir todos los efectos secretos de Titanic. Acompáñanos y descubre los efectos especiales de Titanic. En 1997, James Cameron llevó al cine una de las historias más famosas del mar, y también una de las producciones más ambiciosas de todos los tiempos. Titanic no solo conquistó taquillas, también marcó un antes y un después en el uso de miniaturas y efectos especiales. Hoy vamos a sumergirnos en los secretos detrás de cómo se recreó el barco más famoso del mundo. Uno de los pilares de Titanic fue la construcción de miniaturas a gran escala. Algunas de ellas tenían más de 12 metros de largo, con cuidadosos detalles, desde las chimeneas hasta los botes salvavidas. La más grande estaba a una escala de 1 a 20 y era tan precisa que incluso expertos en barcos podían confundirla con el original. Para hundir el Titanic, Cameron no podía simplemente poner una maqueta en mar abierto. Así que construyó un tanque de agua gigantesco en Baja California, México, capaz de contener millones de litros. Allí, las miniaturas se filmaron con cámaras de alta velocidad. El truco, hacer que el agua, al verse en cámara lenta, pareciera tan pesada como la de un océano real. Se usaron varias escalas de miniaturas, barcos pequeños de apenas 1,5 metros para tomas lejanas y réplicas enormes para los primeros planos. La clave estaba en la iluminación y la velocidad de grabación. Si se hacía bien, nadie podía notar que era una maqueta. Muchos creen que Titanic es puro efecto digital, pero la realidad es que menos de 500 tomas llevan CGI. La mayor parte del barco que ves en pantalla eran escenarios reales y miniaturas filmadas con técnicas clásicas. En muchas escenas, las miniaturas se combinaron con actores filmados en pantalla azul. Así podíamos ver a Jack y Rose en la proa, mientras, en realidad, el barco que se hundía, medía apenas unos metros. La secuencia del hundimiento fue un reto monumental. Diseñaron una maqueta que podía inclinarse más de 45 grados, recreando el momento en que la popa se alza antes de partirse. El agua era impulsada por bombas de alta presión. La escena del barco partiéndose en dos también se rodó en miniatura. El modelo estaba diseñado para fracturarse de forma controlada, siguiendo los estudios históricos del accidente real. Se filmó a cámara súper lenta para que cada crujido y cada movimiento transmitiera el peso y la tragedia del momento. Cada maqueta estaba basada en planos originales del Titanic, y en fotografías de su gemelo, el Olympic. Incluso se recrearon manchas de óxido, imperfecciones y texturas en la pintura, para que el barco se viera vivo y no como un modelo recién sacado de fábrica. Muchas empresas que habían actuado como proveedores del Titanic original fueron las encargadas de realizar los objetos y decorados que iban a verse en pantalla. Y todas las alfombras que salen en la película fueron hechas por la misma compañía de alfombras que las realizó para el Titanic original en 1912. Las chimeneas de esta réplica se construyeron, al igual que en el Titanic real, con las 4 chimeneas icónicas. La cuarta chimenea era principalmente un elemento de decoración y de ventilación. La escala de la réplica era aproximadamente de un 90%. A continuación descubre de los expertos en miniaturas, cómo fue el proceso laborioso durante el rodaje de Titanic.
Fifth Element was the project I was involved in of those three more than any, and when that wrapped, I went over to the special effects crew on Dante's and worked on the miniature effects for that. And when that wrapped, then went and did some final shots on Titanic. And so we had like an engine room sequence where it floods, had a dining room sequence where it gets flooded. It was just a few small last minute things. And I was involved early on, before we started shooting Fifth Element. I was involved in some of the test shots with Jim Cameron, and we had a 25-foot mock-up of the Titanic that, you know, we built it in 9 days, but it looked beautiful. You know, it was the right shape, it was on wheels, it would split in half, and it was something for Jim Cameron to do some test shooting with a little lipstick camera. And put a little lipstick cam onto a motion control rig and ran that around and used that to come up with reference footage for a storyboard artist. And we did other shots with another piece that broke in half. It was kind of hinged and it would hinge open, so we played with that. He did shots, you know, just basically coming up with shots and turning that over to his guys. And so yeah, my part in that was minimal compared to some of the guys that were up at the Hughes Center building the big 45 footer. Yeah, I didn't put a single rivet into that, I'm proud to say.
I really enjoyed that Titanic. It was probably one of the biggest, 44 feet long. The thing was huge. 17 feet tall, 10 feet wide. I mean, the people who don't have boats that big. And it was a magnificent model. I was most definitely stretched to the limits of my capability, but I was put in a position that I had to lead. And I was given 26 people, only like, 5 I knew, and the rest of them were newbies. And so you don't know what they can do. And that's scary because you have no time to find out. And I was basically came in to be the lead painter for the show. And when I showed up, Gene Rizzardi, Cole, called me in, said, "I'm not quite ready for paint." I'm looking at this bow going, "No, you really aren't. What do you want me to do?" And he said, "I need you to take over the mold department because the molds suck. They're terrible." And I looked at the molds and, "These are awful." And he says, "Yeah, it's taking an hour to clean parts." So he gave me 6 people I never met before. And I said, "Everybody, here we're gonna make molds." And I don't know what you've been told, but considering what I'm seeing here, just forget everything you were told and let's try it my way and see what happens. But if you got a better idea, I want to hear it. But if I don't like it, we're doing it my way. And within a week, George Stevens, who was the co-shop foreman with Gene, came over and says, "Thank God you fixed this. We're getting parts that are perfect and we're getting lots of them." And I had a crew of 2 people just casting with pressure pots and showed them the tricks, and they were wonderful. Lori Parkowski, who was a sculptor, and she never did molds, but she had a talent. sculptor, a very good one. And she picked it up like that. I couldn't correct her molds. When the rivets went on, and there were some like over 100,000 rivets that were placed one at a time. If you've talked to Gene Rizzardi, he'll tell you that nightmare. The problem is that, you know, you had these little patterns, you drill holes and then actually put the pin heads in. So when I had to paint this yellow 1-inch stripe on a black hull for a length of 44 feet and then around again, I needed kind of a straight line, and there was a zone that was flat between the rivets that I could mask. You never saw the Godzilla though. Godzilla went on the wreck and R2 went in the bridge. He's right there.
Digital domain was being very aggressive at the time because they were just at the same time working on Dante's Peak and Titanic. So, you know, their digital pipeline was full all the time. And it was a constant process of, well, let's purge what we can so we can bring in more things. And Fifth Element, you know, had the priority for a while, and then Digital Domain was trying to nudge for priority as Titanic was coming through. But, you know, that was Jim Cameron's project, and nobody's getting in the way of Titanic.
Remember, when Cameron was doing this, he says, like, well, I need 100 million. And he comes back, well, I need another 50 million. You know, I mean, he ended up at 200 million. And of course, there were executives that were having their heads cut off and rolling down the halls at this point, jumping out the windows. Because, you know, like, because for the production was like, if this doesn't make it, we're dead. You're taking over money, you know. If this isn't a blockbuster, we're dead. And they were panicked.
Suscríbete al canal y déjanos tus comentarios. ¿Qué película te gustaría que analizáramos?
The light there, and in the coming distance, I went, hey boss! I called Dave Jones. I think they're going to be laying people off. Can you use me? I mean, it was that fast. Like, yes, please, now, come. How soon can you be here? Then they sent me over to Fifth Element to fix some painting things that they needed done. And then I went over. And that's when I stepped into the second half of Air Force One with all these cool military jets, huge things that I got to paint. And, I mean, it was a real joy. And right behind that, we got Starship Troopers, cool spaceship models, and you know, I mean, it was a glorious time.
Maybe it was the clout of having Stan Winston and Jim Cameron as co-owners. I don't know, but you know, a lot of shows happened all at once, and then it got really quiet after that, and became more commercials, and they were getting little bits and pieces, and then eventually the model shop disappeared, you know, faded out, and as did most of them. There were a lot of them just went quiet then.
But it was a neat time, and I think you'll find everyone you interview that space of year there that was cool. We made neat stuff, we made cool stuff, we made friends, we got new stories. You know, there's a comradeship that happened, and they were.